Imagine helping a troubled classmate with a place to sleep for the night, and they repay you by stabbing you in the back, literally. While you may have to imagine the scenario, Megan Newton didn't have to. The kind-hearted 18-year-old, who had lofty dreams and aspirations, was sexually assaulted and then stabbed multiple times by her classmate, who she offered a place to sleep. Megan loved football, and her love for the beautiful game fueled her passion for studying sports therapy, but it was this love that ultimately contributed to her demise. But who could have killed such a kind soul, and why? Hello and welcome back to Crime Mystic, where we cover solved, unsolved, and twisted cases from around the world. Today we take a look at the twisted case of Megan Newton. But before we delve any further, please take the time to show your support by subscribing to our channel, liking our videos, and clicking on that notification bell to receive the latest videos straight to your inbox. Now that that's done, let's get to the case. Megan's case takes us to Stoke-on-Trent, also known as Stoke, a city and unitary authority area in Staffordshire, England. It covers an area of 36 square miles, 93 square kilometers, and has an estimated population of 256,375 as of 2019. Stoke-on-Trent is renowned as the Potteries due to its association with the pottery industry. It has a mix of service industries, distribution centers, and a history of heavy industry. The city boasts several museums and attractions showcasing its industrial heritage, including the Potteries Museum and Art Gallery, Etruria Industrial Museum, Gladstone Pottery Museum, and Ford Green Hall. Stoke-on-Trent also has visitor centers for major pottery companies like Wedgwood, Dudson, etc. This is the city where Megan Newton lived. Megan Newton was a remarkable young woman who was a beacon of hope for her community in Stoke-on-Trent, located in the West Midlands of England. Despite her young age, Megan had already achieved more than most people do in a lifetime. She had an unwavering dedication to academics, sports, and community service, making her a well-rounded individual who stood out from the crowd. Even at a young age, Megan had big dreams and was determined to turn them into reality. She worked to secure a scholarship to study in the United States, hoping to be the first member of her family to attend university. Her passion for sports led her to pursue a career in sports therapy. Megan's ambitious spirit and strong work ethic set her on a path toward success, leaving a lasting impression on the world. However, Megan's promising life took an unexpected turn on a fateful day in April. After completing her shift at a local fish and chip shop, Megan looked forward to a night out with friends. Eager to enjoy the Easter weekend, she joined her friends at a local bar, where they kicked off the festivities with toasts and laughter. The night continued at a popular nightclub, where Megan danced in high spirits and proudly displayed her new tattoo. She fully embraced the moment, living life to the fullest. As the night came to a close, Megan said goodbye to her friends and headed to a nearby taxi rank to find a ride home. There, she unexpectedly encountered Joseph Trevor, an acquaintance from school. Although their friendship was not particularly close, their shared love for football often sparked conversations between them. Joseph, known as Josie, had a promising future ahead of him, with his talent as a semi-professional footballer and his secured scholarship to an American university. However, his path was not without its challenges, as he struggled with discipline and made poor choices, often getting into trouble at school and engaging in recreational drug use. While waiting in line at the taxi rank, Megan and Josie struck up a conversation. Josie confided in Megan about his recent troubles with the police, expressing his desire to avoid returning home intoxicated. Megan, known for her compassionate nature, offered him a place to stay for the night, providing him refuge on her couch. During the ride, Josie received a text from his father inquiring about his return home. Fearing the consequences of going home intoxicated, Josie lied, stating that he would be staying over at a male friend's place. As they arrived at Megan's apartment, everything seemed ordinary, with both of them appearing in good spirits. Little did she know that this act of kindness would set in motion a series of events that would forever alter her life. The next day, a resident of Megan's apartment building, while taking out the trash, made a horrifying discovery: an apartment key and fob stained with what appears to be blood. The neighbor examined the key and discovered that it belonged to Megan. Alarmed, they rushed to Megan's door, pounding it desperately, but received no response. The neighbor alerted other neighbors, and with growing anxiety, the neighbors used Megan's keys to gain entry to her flat, only to be met with a chilling sight. Megan lay motionless on her bed, her body bearing multiple stab wounds. They immediately contact the police, who swiftly arrive to investigate. Earlier that morning, Joseph Trevor had walked towards a bridge over a major dual carriageway road in Stoke. He had sat down at the edge of the bridge, with his feet hanging over the road below, which caught a passing driver's attention. The concerned driver promptly notified the authorities, who rushed to the scene. As the police apprehended Joseph, they assessed his mental state to ensure his safety. Determining that he posed no immediate danger to himself, they called his father to take him home. Back in Megan's house, the police examined the scene and determined that Megan had been strangled and stabbed a total of 9 times. She was also sexually assaulted, and it appeared that the assailant used a knife from her own kitchen. Notably, there were no signs of forced entry, leading the police to conclude that Megan was acquainted with her attacker and willingly opened the door for him. Checking the surveillance footage, police saw the moment when Megan and Josie entered a cab together, beginning their journey back to her apartment. The CCTV footage from her building also confirmed that Joseph Trevor entered her apartment with her. Approximately 90 minutes later, Joe is again captured on camera as he exits Megan's apartment. This time, he was with Megan's key fob as he left the building. He walked to the dumpsters in the parking lot and discarded the key, fearful of being caught with it. Footage from the next camera shows him walking along the street, where he glances at his hands, revealing traces of blood. This was when he went towards the bridge, the guilt of what he had done hanging heavy on his mind. The CCTV footage also showed him with visible blood on his hands, solidifying their suspicion that they had found the perpetrator. A few hours later, the police arrived at Joseph Trevor's home and brought him in for questioning. Joseph admitted to being with Megan the previous evening and claimed they had consensual sex. However, he claimed that he couldn't remember what happened afterward. He maintained his innocence and vehemently denied any involvement in Megan's murder. The police, however, remain unconvinced, leading to his arrest and subsequent charge with the murder of Megan Newton. Despite the overwhelming evidence against him, Joseph Trevor adamantly maintains his plea of not guilty, prolonging the suffering of Megan's grieving parents as they are forced to endure a full trial. His audacity to deny the truth only fuels the anger of those closest to Megan. After months of gathering evidence, the state is prepared to bring Joseph Trevor to trial for the heinous crimes he committed. In court, Joseph stood up in court and stunned everyone in the room by confessing his guilt in the rape and murder of Megan Newton. The once defiant defendant now stood before the court, ready to share his version of events. Joseph recounted that when he was younger, he was falsely accused of sexually assaulting a girl. Although the matter never went to trial, the stigma lingered, leading to years of bullying and being labeled with derogatory nicknames. He claimed that on the night of the murder, he encountered Megan, and they had a brief conversation. Megan, seemingly remorseful, apologized to him, revealing that she was the one who had spread rumors about the assault accusation. According to Joseph, this admission triggered past demons and ultimately drove him to commit the heinous act of murder. However, the prosecution vehemently disputed Joseph's account, finding it highly unlikely that Megan was the source of the rumors. They presented evidence that Megan had always been kind to him, and they would often engage in friendly conversations about their shared love for football. The prosecution argued that Megan's invitation to her place was purely out of kindness, as Joseph had nowhere else to go. The prosecution contended that Joseph's motives for going to Megan's apartment were sexual in nature. They believed that he made advances toward her, which she rejected, leading him to fly into a rage. Accustomed to getting what he wanted, Joseph couldn't handle rejection and proceeded to strangle and stab Megan to death. In the victim statement, the grieving mother, Sarah Newton, shared the heart-wrenching impact of losing her beloved daughter, Megan Newton, to a brutal murder. The devastated mother, struggling to come to terms with the unimaginable tragedy, describes Megan as her best mate and laments that her life will never be the same. Sarah recalls the moment she learned about her daughter's murder, her voice filled with sorrow as she recounts the chilling details. It was a beautiful day when she met a friend who warned her of commotion on the corner near Megan's residence. Ignoring the warning, Sarah continued on her path, unaware that her life was about to be shattered. The atmosphere shifted as she reached the corner, with people's gazes averted and solemn expressions etched on their faces. Sarah's motherly instincts kicked in, and she began searching for Megan, desperately seeking answers from those around her. In her search for the truth, Sarah approached a police officer, sharing her suspicion that her daughter was involved. Her worst fears were confirmed when the officer guided her to a secluded spot, preparing her for the devastating news. The world around her blurred as the reality sank in. Her precious Megan was gone. The shock of the moment was overwhelming, hoping against hope that the victim was someone else, not her own flesh and blood. But it was Megan. Sarah's heartache deepened as she contacted her mother, urging her to come to Megan's place. The sight that greeted them was agonizing. Megan's lifeless body, covered with disheveled hair and a cold, motionless face. Sarah longed to embrace her daughter, willing her to wake up from this horrific nightmare. The pain Sarah felt was indescribable, knowing that her baby girl had been taken away from her in such a brutal manner. There was no denying the harsh reality before her eyes. Life, from that moment on, would never be the same. No matter what she did, the irreversible tragedy remained. But Sarah's agony was made worse when Joseph Trevor turned to her and muttered sorry before being taken away. Anger consumed her, unable to comprehend how someone claiming remorse could have committed such a heinous act and subjected their family to unimaginable torment. For Sarah, if he were truly sorry, he wouldn't have put her through such suffering. Joseph Trevor was ultimately sentenced to a life sentence with a minimum of 21 years in jail before being eligible for parole. The relatively lenient sentence sparked outrage among Megan's parents, who believe it is inadequate for the severity of the crime committed. While they understand that no amount of time served can bring their beloved daughter back, they find the light sentence difficult to accept, considering the heinous nature of Joseph's actions. In today's story, we saw kindness being repaid with evil and wickedness. Megan's family felt that the sentence was light, but what do you think? Is the sentence light? What sentence would be adequate for Joseph's crime? Let us know what you think in the comments section.